Hey guys, sorry I've been away so long. I've been busy with life, I just graduated high school not long ago and I'm getting ready to study university now. But I did want to post some more videos online, so today we are scaping this 3-foot tank. It's not an aquascape per se, just a living space. So let's get straight to it. So let's start from the very beginning. A couple of months ago, my uncle brought me his old tank from Brisbane, and this was it. It was very dusty. At least the outside was, the cover. You can see this lid. Whoops, I almost bumped it over, but you can see how much dust is on that lid. It is, yeah, it was something. And, I had to clean it at night, and you can literally see right here, how much dust is on it just from me wiping it with a rag. But yeah. So after about an hour or so of wiping it down with a damp cloth, I got most of the dust off, and it didn't smell too bad. So I thought that it was good to go. So I let it dry off, and then I took it inside. But yeah, the tank itself was pretty clean. It was just the stand and the lid that was pretty filthy. But what can you do? So the first thing I did was paint the background black, which I didn't record, but yeah, the background was black to help make the fish's color pop. Then the next course of action was to fill it up with sand. Now for here, I just used some coarse sand from Bunnings, which you can get from any sort of store or Bunnings or Home Depot or anything like that. So, just find it somewhere. But yeah, I just wanted one that was a bit more coarse for the fish that were gonna be living in here. And I wanted the front to be a bit more shallow and the back to be a bit deeper so I can plant most of the plants in the background, so the front had more swimming space. Anyways, next I just started placing down rocks. Since this wasn't an aquascape or anything in particular, I just placed them anywhere that I thought looked nice, and I was just fiddling around a bit, but eventually I found a structure that looked pretty good for me, where there'd be spots where the fish can hide behind or whatnot, but there was still plenty of swimming space. And then I just threw some little pebbles and river rocks around just to add some decoration and to add some color in the tank. And this is how the tank looks after adding all the big rocks, the sand, and the little rocks. So you can see the sand has a nice tan color to it. The river rocks vary in size and color, and then there's just a few big rocks for some definition. The rock on the right is a bit green because it's from an old tank. That was just to help cycle this tank faster, so it has a bunch of algae on it, but it'll be right. You can't even tell when the water's filled up. But yeah, this is just a side view of the tank. And if I could go back, I probably would add some different types of rocks, but this is kind of what I had at the time, so I think I did pretty well with what I had. Anyways, the next order of business was getting the plants in. So first of all, I just put some root tabs and some fertilizer in the sand. I just dug some holes and plopped little pieces of fertilizer here and there. Nothing too crazy because it's not that big of a tank, so I don't want to overdose it, But yeah, I put a fair amount in. And the first plant we put in was some Java fern. I got this little bush of it, and I thought it looked pretty nice, pretty green, and the root system was pretty established. So this was the one I went with. So, the first order of business with this Java fern was breaking it apart and separating it. So you can see me just breaking it apart now. And then I just tossed it into little gaps here and there. I didn't bother super gluing it. So I just stuck the roots under a rock to help it stick under there. Or I'd stick the rhizome between two rocks. And I'll just keep placing it into different areas until I found something that worked. It's kind of a bit fiddly, but once you find something that works, Java ferns usually stay pretty still. The next order of business was to get a bunch of different plants, which I think for this tank I literally only used Embulia. I forgot the scientific name, so I'll put it in the corner. But yes, I just planted a bunch of different Embulias in here because they are a fast-growing and hardy plant, and they give a nice look. And I have heaps of it, so I thought might as well use it. So yeah, I was just sticking that around in the corners. And yeah, this is how the tank looked after planting the Embulia and Java ferns. So you can see it's a pretty low maintenance tank, nothing crazy. Um, and yeah, it's totally doable on a budget too, because most of the stuff here is pretty cheap. Next, I just put down a plastic bag and filled up the tank slowly with water. This is so that I don't disturb the sand and I don't disturb the plants. And it honestly just comes natural to me now. I just do it like this all the time now because it causes less mess, and you know, when you pour the water down, you don't have like big gaps in the sand. Anyways, fast forward, this is how the tank looked. And once you get to a certain length, or at least for me, I just get the bucket and pour it down, and I use my hand as a barrier so the water doesn't just mess up the scape. But at this point, from where I was standing, it was starting to look pretty good. It definitely is a bit bare, but Embulia are a fast growing plant, so that's not really a problem. Then I decided that I would change the light because that light at the top was alright, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I put a stronger light on top. It was just a light from eBay, so it's nothing crazy, no brand in particular. But it was a brighter light, as you can see, and it was definitely way stronger. And Embulia, our stem plant, which just love that bright light, so I thought that it would be way more beneficial for the tank. You can see it up here, nothing crazy. I bought it off Kmart for like 20 Australian dollars, so you know, nothing to brag about. But it really did suit this tank. You can see the background is actually black now. And yeah, this is how the scape kind of looked after, I'd say, a few hours. You can see that rock full of algae still, but with time, that should be alright. Oh, flashbang. But yeah, no, this light has 3 different settings. So I just changed the settings to the full spectrum of the lights, which is the rainbow lights plus white light. And back there you can see I have a black filter which blends in with the background, so I thought that it looked nice. And it was pretty strong and a good size filter for this tank. Okay, now the next step was to put the lid on and get the final look going. So after some shimmying around, I got the lid to fit on properly eventually, and I thought it looked pretty good. The waterline is low. The only reason for that is because I didn't really intend on filling it up fully yet since I was just letting it cycle a bit. And this is how the tank looked with the lights on. I think the light I put in there, when you turn background lights on, it looks really blue and it looks really nice. I really like the aesthetic of this tank, and it is sitting in my dining room, so every time I go get food to eat or anything, I can see this tank, and I'm really a big fan of it. It's not my most like beautiful scape or my most creative, but it's simple yet satisfying. So I really do like it, and um, I hope you guys do as well. It's pretty easy to feed. I just lift open that lid and just stick my fingers in the hole with some food, drop it down, and you know, the fish just go eat. So pretty straightforward. Now, about a week or 2 later, because the rock and the filter were there to help cycle the tank fast, I decided to throw in the first few fish. So first we have a small school of dwarf neon rainbow fish, also known as Melanotania praecox, one of my favorite species of rainbow fish. Those 2 larger ones are the parents, and the little guys are just some babies they made. And I have this single electric blue Akara from my original 4-foot tank. I floated them for about 10 minutes, then filled up half the bag with the new tank water, and then I let them float for another 5 minutes. Then after all the acclimating, I just tipped them straight into the tank. Because they had already been in one of my previous tanks, I didn't really mind mixing waters, as I don't really have any contaminants, or at least none that affect me. So I just poured them straight into the tank, and I'd let them settle in. I recommend when you introduce new fish that you should turn off the lights or at least keep it low to reduce stress, since moving to a new environment is very stressful for these guys. And this is how the tank looked later that night. The fish were getting used to it. As you can see, the rainbow fish are very washed out, and the Akara is pretty washed out as well, but they were still just getting used to the area. but there is plenty of space for them all. And yeah, also sorry for the bad quality. I recorded this on my old phone, so it wasn't that good, but oh, speak of the devil, this is footage recorded from my new phone. So this is the tank now. It has 3 electric blue acaras, a small school of pre-crossed rainbow fish, and a small school of young Bosemani rainbow fish. You can see them here and there. But yeah, the Embulia has grown out great, and I have actually trimmed it like 10 times already. The rock has no more algae on it, and everything is looking pretty good. I also have a small bristlenose pleco in this tank. So yeah, I will be giving more updates out in the future, but yeah, the tank seemed to be doing pretty well. But yeah, okay. That was pretty much the whole video. Sorry, it wasn't too much footage. I recorded this like months ago, and then that last video I recorded like a few days ago. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know it's been a long time since I've been back, but I've got a bunch of new footage. As you can see here, this is literally a clip for a future video, which I'll probably be uploading next, if anything. But yeah, I've been getting into a lot of scaping. I've been doing some species profiles, and I'm excited to share everything with y'all. But yeah, I will be busy as I will be attending university soon to study a bachelor in marine science. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the future.